Good morning, and welcome to the board meeting of the Environmental Protection Commission. I will call this meeting to order and ask everyone to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag and the invocation given by our chaplain, Commissioner Stacy White.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, I pray that you'll guide this board, our staff and stakeholders as we make important decisions about the environment of Hillsborough County this morning. We thank you for the clean air that we get to breathe, the clean water, the wetlands that filter our water, and everything else that this agency is involved in. As this is my last meeting as an EPC commissioner, Lord, I thank you for guiding me throughout the years as I've had an opportunity and the honor to serve on this board. And as always, I give thanks and ask for blessings for our first responders and members of our armed forces. Pray that you'll guide them and keep them safe each and every day. I give these thanks and ask for these blessings in your heavenly name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. And I received a message from Commissioner Kemp that she's unable to attend today. And so we will call the roll and establish the quorum.
Good morning. Smith?
Here.
Cohen?
Here.
Hagan?
Here.
Myers?
Here.
Overman?
Here.
White?
Here.
Thank you. You have a quorum.
I'm here virtually, Commissioner.
Oh. Welcome, Commissioner Kemp. All right, we're all here and glad to see you. So we'll be, Commissioner Kemp, I do not have the setup to see when you raise your hand. So I'll just listen out for you if you...
I'll call loudly.
Just give a holler if you want to say anything. All right, and Ms. Doherty, do we have any changes to the agenda?
No, Commissioner, we do not.
All right. Then that will take us to our recognition for the day. Ms. Doherty, you want to lead us off?
Thank you, Commissioner. I'm going to go down to the podium, but before we begin the recognition, I did want to recognize an employee that was in our waste division that recently left and went to work for TECO for Stanley Crow. Her name is Kelsey Jones. She's in the audience. She's just an amazing EPC employee. So, Kelsey, if you'll stand up or raise your hand. And so I think it's great that she's attending this meeting. So with that, I'm going to go down here for recognition. Is my mic on? Good morning, Commissioners. Again, it's kind of bittersweet to be here for this recognition. We do have some slides we're going to show. Before we begin, I did want to recognize Megan Nixon and David Garcia. They're part of our EPC family, as is Commissioner White. They've come to, I think, each and every Thanksgiving. They've been very involved with the agency. And we just love them very, very much. We do have some cards and recognitions. Unfortunately, I left them on my kitchen table, but I will bring them to you. But when we commence with it, when we finish the remarks, I hope you'll come up with Commissioner White and take a picture and everything. But we love you very much, and thank you for your dedicated service, because you made our job easy by the way you were so professional and so responsive. So thank you. So with that, Commissioners, just for the members of the public, I wanted to read just a little bit of Commissioner White's bio. He's a fifth-generation native of Hillsborough County, and I bet there's very few people who can say that. He lives in Valrico with his wife of 25 years and their 3 children. He graduated from East Bay High School, and he earned a doctorate in pharmacy from the University of Florida. and he's still practicing pharmacy and been doing so for decades. One of the things that I thought was interesting, Commissioner, which I did not know, was that you are a clinical assistant professor of pharmacy at the University of Florida. Go Gators. And I think that's awesome that you're in education as well. I did not know that. He and his family attend New Hope United Methodist Church in Brandon. His wife is very busy with high school teaching and their college-age children. And obviously, as somebody who's very familiar with District 4, lived there most of my life, I know that Commissioner White was very active there as well. And in their free time, we all know this about him, he likes to be in the outdoors, which is one of the reasons he loves the environment and wants to protect the environment. He loves boating, fishing, and of course, the Gators. So with this, I just want to say, Commissioner, we have a special bond. In 2014, we held signs together, campaigned together, and one of the things that I always thought was wonderful about Commissioner White, which Commissioner Overman mentioned yesterday, is his attention to detail. And I think that's why you became a pharmacist, because you have to be very detail-oriented. And he's always involved in the processes. But when I first met him and we were on the campaign trail, I just always remember he was very kind. And we just became instant friends, which you don't see that a lot in the campaigning season. And I think many of you are in the campaign season right now. And I always appreciated about him for that. And we met and we were always very supportive of each other. So with that, we're showing some slides in the background as I speak, but he's accomplished a lot at the Board of County Commissioners. But he has been such a champion for the environment, and he has exceeded all expectations. His work on the estuary program, if Ed Sherwood would be here, he would have so many wonderful things to say for your service on the Tampa Bay Estuary Program. And as a former policy board member on the estuary program, I thank you for your service there. He also became an instant champion of ELAP. And just like the Conservation Fund for the state, it's kind of been woefully underfunded some years because, the monies have not been appropriated. And you champion that, and you've gotten the monies released so that we can purchase land. And that's going to help us for our children, your children's children. When we're gone, you're making the world a better place, Commissioner White. And for your support of our agency, we can't thank you enough. You were the one who championed the BP oil spill money when others were using it for things that might not have been environmental. You said, hey, I went out on EPC's monitoring boat, and it's put together with duct tape. It's old, it's dilapidated, and they need a new monitoring boat because we have the longest data in the country, continuous data for over 50 years. And he knew this because I think to date he may be the only commissioner who took a full day trip and actually did the water sampling himself. So you're always welcome at EPC, Commissioner. We love having you there. But I'd like you to come down so we can present you with an award. And it's our Environmental Stewardship Award. Again, our iconic picture by Tom Ash. And we'll bring it up here so everyone can see it. And as he's making his way down here, I didn't forget your gift, your card for you and your wife. This was my briefcase. But senior staff and myself pitched in for you to have a nice dinner, a steak dinner with Barbie.
Oh, that's so kind of you. Thank you, Janet. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So Elena's going to bring it over here and hand it to you real quick, and then I will read what it says.
Oh, that is so nice.
It says, obviously, the Environmental Stewardship Award. I think it's funny, when Al Higginbotham got it, his was this size because he had sold everything and was getting in an RV. So he didn't want anything big. But Commissioner, this is a beautiful picture, and we want you to remember EPC with this photo. And it says, thank you for your dedicated service to the citizens of Hillsborough County and your support of EPC and the protection of our natural resources. Your EPC family, dated today, October 2022. And we love you very much.
The feeling.
We will miss you, and we want you to keep in touch and always come to our Thanksgiving luncheons.
Absolutely. Thank you, Janet. Can I say a few words?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mike is yours.
And listen, I'll keep this brief. I know this is one of a couple of farewells, but just want to just say to all my colleagues that it's been just such an honor to get to serve by your side for all these years. Janet, your entire staff, this EPC staff is like family, and you do just such tremendous work. And it's very scientific in nature, very objective in nature. So thankful that this organization was created by the special act of the legislature back in the 60s. Speaker Sessoms at the time was just a visionary in seeing to it that this organization was created. And, you know, when you talk about protecting the environment, it's best handled at the local level, in my opinion. You know, we're the boots on the ground. Everything we do should be nonpartisan or bipartisan, however you want to view it, because it's just so important. And as Janet mentioned, I'm one of the rare folks that is deeply rooted in this county, and I can remember what the Bay looked like back in the 70s and 80s. I was a little boy in the 70s, but I was around then, and I can remember what it looked like. And, you know, we've just come a long way here with our air quality and just everything else that we're involved in. And of course, all those day-to-day things with constituent services that a lot of folks don't even know that EPC has a role in, like noise control and things like that. Megan, David, this is a team effort. I just couldn't have done the things that I've been able to do as a commissioner without you. You've always made the District 4 office shine, and I'll have an opportunity to say this to you again, but Janet's absolutely right. This is a team effort, and I thank you both from the bottom of my heart for all of your support through the years. So with that, thank you very much. This is a tremendous honor. Yep, thank you. Thanks, Janet. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, we're going to
yeah,
take a quick picture.
But let's see if there's,
Oh, I'm sorry.
certainly, Commissioner Cohen.
Commissioner White, I'm going to save my remarks to you till the Board of County Commissioners farewell ceremony. We still have a good another month to work together. But, you know, your passion for the environment has really shined through to me in the 2 years that we have worked together. It's obviously something that you care very deeply about. And, you know, we're not far apart in age, and as a little kid, what I remember about the Bay is the way it smelled.
Yeah.
And I believe that's what you were alluding to in the way that it looked. And I know that we just all feel so strongly about protecting these precious resources that we have and making them better. And you certainly have exemplified that in everything that you've ever done and said on this board.
Commissioner Overman, you're recognized.
Thank you. I, too, want to say thank you for all the work that you've done to really protect Hillsborough County and all across many, many opportunities. The work that you've done has helped me become connected to the agricultural community here in Hillsborough County, and as a consequence of that, they don't always realize all the wonderful impacts that you've had on preserving their ability to do what they do. Enjoying the Plant City events has been a great partnership, and I appreciate that. But bringing the environment into the entire conversation and how critical it is sometimes lost on our residents, on why it's so important. And you've done a great job of keeping a spotlight on the importance of making sure that we preserve our environmental lands, on supporting ELAP, on protecting our rivers, on helping our air. When I first moved here, I remembered seeing the orange sky. I was like, what in the world is that? And you don't see that anymore, and I'm sure it had a lot to do with your advocacy at the time. So thank you very, very much for everything that you've done, and it's been a pleasure working with you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we're all going to be saying a lot of goodbyes as you term out of your seat, but I want to focus today on my gratitude for your real work protecting our environment locally. You know, a lot of people here care about it, but they don't know what to do that would be effective. And you have been a very effective protector of our environment, advancing things like working with Vern Buchanan on redesignating the Little Manatee River as a scenic, wild and scenic river. You have done many big things and small things that people won't even know you did, but you will know, we will know, and we will all be enjoying that. I do feel like Megan Nixon and David Garcia have been huge assets to your team in this environmental work specifically, among other things. But today we're focusing on the environment. And, you know, Megan sat in most, if not all, ELAP committee meetings while you're here. And, you know, I'm sure that contributed a lot to all of us, what you've brought to the board, and we were all able to understand sometimes when ELAP issues were brought up about our nature preserves. And early in my first term, I went out to Cockroach Bay with David Garcia to release some baby fish. Do you remember what kind of fish they were? Yeah, anyway, we were restocking the bay with fish and carrying fish in by hand and letting fish go and enjoying Cockroach Bay from Mount Cockroach, you know, up there. So I just am pointing out that your staff has been really instrumental in your team, your office's ability to be effective and have an impact protecting our environment. In this day of just real divisiveness in partisan politics, it has been a joy to be able to work together on these issues we all care about and listen to each other and find the best way forward in so many ways of protecting our environment. And yes, I've been glad to have you over on Tampa Bay Estuary Program as well. I was on Agency of Bay Management. I think Commissioner Cohen is now, and that's all been very, very effective. But I'm glad that David Garcia will be staying on to provide a little continuity in that experience and in those values that you have brought to this county. So thank you very much for your service.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes, Commissioner Kemp, is that you?
Uh-huh. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I just wanted to do my environmental farewell as well to Commissioner White. Your leadership in the environmental areas of the county has been huge. I remember when you came forward with, wanting to start to do a very large purchase, driving a large purchase of ELAP land, and as was said many times, that is land that will, of course, be here for forever and saved in perpetuity from the work that you contributed through ELAP. And your work in the environmental area, the education, the dedication has been tremendous and has really shaped where we've gone with both the EPC and as a commission, and certainly in land use as well. So my thank you. It's been wonderful working with you in all these capacities.
Thank you. And one last note is that this board has transitioned while you were here most of us are pretty darn new to the board, and you were able to provide a lot of continuity in these environmental issues and help steer us in some ways in some really important issues, and I really appreciate that. So with that, seeing no more comment, we'll take a picture?
Correct.
All right.
I can take David here, I'll take you. I can do that.
Thank you. Thanks. That was very kind. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, and as Commissioner White is making his way back to his seat, I'll just check with staff and ask if there's any public comment today. Do we have?
No one has signed up for public comment, Commissioner.
Okay, so then we'll move to the consent agenda.
Move consent?
Got a motion to
Second.
approve by Commissioner White and second by Commissioner Myers. We'll take a roll call vote.
Smith,
Yes.
Cohen,
Yes.
Hagan,
Yes.
Kemp, Myers,
Yes.
Overman,
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carried 6-0.
Thank you. That takes us to the regular agenda. Item 9A is the performance evaluation of our executive director, and Ms. DeLue will be leading us through that.
Thank you, Commissioner. Before Ms. DeLue begins, I did want to just say two quick things. Commissioner, 8 years goes by in the blink of an eye. Seems like yesterday. And the other thing I wanted to say is we're so lucky to have, I'm sorry, were you going to say something?
I was just going to say, I was watching the hair color and the progression of some of those pictures. And yeah, 8 years, it's a long time, but it goes by in the blink of an eye. And I forgot to mention the EPC boat in my comments, but that was much needed. Let me tell you, that boat is out every day, 365 days a year, even on days like today when it's not an ideal boating day. It is a true work boat, and they have a set path where they are back and forth across the bay. It takes a beating, but they do fine work out there.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Commissioner. And I also wanted to add that we have David Garcia will be staying on, so there'll be some continuity within the office. But Megan Nixon got her master's in urban planning, and so she's going to be working with the county, helping in land use decisions and some of that. So you got the dream team is still here, the duo is still here helping the county. So I just wanted to mention that. And with that, I'll move on to the regular agenda. Turn over 9A to Elaine DeLue.
Good morning, Commissioners. Elaine DeLue, EPC staff. EPC's Executive Director performance is evaluated by the Commission annually. The evaluation forms for Ms. Lorton were provided and discussed at the September EPC meeting. The assessment scores from the Commissioners have been provided in the agenda packets. We received assessments from all 7 Commissioners, and I'd like to thank David Young with Commissioner Smith's office for his assistance in the process. If we could pull up the slide, I'll go through the evaluation. So this is for the rating period from October 2021 to September 2022. There are 3 main categories with 19 individual dimensions that the executive director is ranked on. The scale is based on a rating from 1 to 5, with 5 being the lowest, with 1 being the lowest and 5 being the highest. In the first category, behaviors, there are 8 dimensions, which are leadership, communication, responsiveness, respect and fair treatment, quality of staff work, service to the community, problem solving, and management of organization. The overall combined score was a 5. For the next category, accomplishments of goals, this includes 5 individual dimensions, which are environmental protection excellence, a successful and engaged workforce, a customer/partner focused excellence, fiscal responsibility, and continuous improvement. The overall combined score was a 4.97. And finally, for the last dimension, there are 6 that include the timeliness of delegated state permitting processing, Port Authority permitting processing, local EPC permitting processing, compliance, complaint investigations, and enforcement resolutions. The overall combined score for that category was a 5. So for today, Commissioner, the Commission has the opportunity to provide additional feedback and complete the evaluation process. If no action is taken, Ms. Lorton would receive 3% retroactive to October 1st. At yesterday's BOCC meeting, the other 3 contract employees received a 7% pay increase. At this point, I turn it back to the Commission for their discussion.
Thank you. And Commissioner White, you're recognized.
I think we need to schedule a workshop to discuss Commissioner Cohen's 1 rating of 4 that Janet received.
I concur. I'll second that motion.
I just want to say, I've never given a perfect evaluation. It is as close to perfect as it could be.
Yeah.
With the idea that next year could even be better than this year.
There you go. There you go. Listen, Janet, you mentioned our friendship and the great professional relationship that we have. This organization is so fortunate to have you at the helm. And like yesterday, I'm going to just mention that it's a team effort all the way down to the frontline employees. And I think I mentioned in my remarks a moment ago that the CPC staff is just incredible. It's like a family, but everybody, Janet, from you all the way to the front line, everybody just cares so much about this organization and our environment and does such fine work. The scores that you've received don't surprise me at all. You're doing an outstanding job. They're well-deserved. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing a great job in running this EPC. I'm going to miss you, but I know that I'm leaving the EPC with this organization in good hands. And that extends to my colleagues, from the governing board, Janet, to you as the executive director, and all the way down the line. Congratulations.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. And Commissioner Overman, you're recognized.
Thank you. Hillsborough County is truly well-served. To have the passion and the discipline and the team building and the leadership to steer an organization that isn't always appreciated. There are some that do not believe that it's an important thing. And as we all know how critically important it is for the citizens of Hillsborough County, but also the statewide, having the ability to actually lead an organization where the employees truly feel like family is a gift. And we are very much appreciative of that gift. And I appreciate what you've been able to do. And I honestly think that we should make whatever score we got on the average, I was looking at it, whatever that is, as a consequence of a certain person that has to discount things, the top score is whatever the score is. So we'll not worry about it being a 5 because actually, and I believe the general consensus is, we are really, truly blessed by your skill set and want to thank you very much for all the work that you do. In encouraging amazing folks to step up and protect our environment and do it so well. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Commissioner Cohen, you're recognized.
Just to set the record straight, I'd like to make the motion to make Ms. Lorton's salary commensurate with the other contract employees that we discussed yesterday at 7% increase.
Second.
And I do want to say that notwithstanding the joking, you do an excellent job. And we are very, very grateful to everyone on the EPC staff. There is an issue I'm working on right now in Town and Country related to water quality that your staff has really been invaluable in getting some information together. This entire issue around the air quality on 275, it's just so terrific to be able to turn to you when we have these types of issues and actually address them in this type of a way. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Mr. Marati, do we take that motion up now or with the 9B? Can we take it now and then do 9B?
Yeah, traditionally, we would take that up right now,
Okay.
a vote for performance increase. But if we do amend the contract, we would build that into it also, but it doesn't need to be a
Thank you very
second
much.
vote.
Yeah, yep, okay. And did I interrupt you, Ms. Lorton? Did you have something else to
I
say?
just said thank you.
Commissioner Myers, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd just like to amend Commissioner Cohen's motion to make it retroactive back to October 1, as we did for the other 3 contracted employees. And also to you, Janet, thank you for your leadership and leading this agency and your passion about our environment. So thank you so much.
Madam Chair, if you want to take that up as a separate motion to amend, I'll second that.
Or possibly the maker of the motion would accept it as a friendly amendment.
Perfect.
And we'll just take it as a built into the original motion. And before we take the vote, I just want to wrap up with saying that EPC has always had a amazing culture of responsiveness to the citizens and a passion for protecting our environmental resources. But, and I should say not but, Ms. Lorton, you have continued that with a enormous passion and brought the EPC into your tenure as director with all of that and more. And you've done that by leading by example. When I call you or leave a message, you're there. You and I are always trading information, newspaper clippings. Did you see this? And I see some nodding around the board that I'm not the only one. And echo Commissioner Cohen's comments that when we have a constituent issue, EPC is there in a minute, and it's you're on top of it. Commissioner White mentioned that the EPC organization is like a family. I mean, it runs like a machine, okay? But it is close. The people care for each other and have each other's back and take up the slack, and there's none of this. That's not my job. It's a team, and it's a family. And I don't know any other way to say this except for that you lead with love and caring and bring that out in your employees. I mean, I've seen it time and time again with every event that I've been to, from Thanksgiving dinner to farewells for people as they've left your organization. There is a deep commitment and a very deep team feeling that you are responsible for. And it's amazing leadership. So thank you very much. I mean, I don't think there's, I think a 4 is a pretty good score out of 5, all right? I don't think there's anything to, in fact, I like the idea of there's always room for improvement, and I know no one believes that more than you do.
You're right.
So with that, seeing no further comment, we will take up the motion on the floor by Commissioner Cohen, second by Commissioner Myers, and take a roll call vote.
Smith?
Yes.
Cohen?
Yes.
Hagan?
Yes.
Kemp?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Overman?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Thank you. And now we'll move to item 9B with the revisions to the employment agreement. Ms. DeLue.
Yes, Elaine DeLue, EPC staff. We're requesting approval of revisions to the employment agreement of the executive director to provide consistency and equity related to specific terms and conditions of employment. A summary of the proposed revisions are: 1, paid time off, PTO, effective October 24, 2022, the annual leave and sick leave already accrued will be combined into a new leave management system referred to as paid time off, or PTO. Upon termination of the employment agreement, the executive director should be paid for all accrued and unused PTO. Number 2, the vacation buyback program. It is recommended that the agreement be modified to allow the executive director the option to buy back up to 100 hours of PTO each year in compliance with county policy and consistent with employment agreements provided to current or former contract employees. Number 3, compensation and benefit enhancements. Allow the executive director to receive the same compensation increases and benefit enhancements at the same time and in the same manner as available to all other unclassified managerial employees of the Commission, provided the increased compensation or benefit enhancements improves the compensation and benefits already set forth in the employment agreement. Compensation and benefit enhancements include but are not limited to a cost of living adjustment, disaster recovery compensation, and wellness incentives. Number 4, the auto allowance. Modify the contract to increase the current auto allowance from $300 to $500 monthly. And number 5, allow the executive director to attend events in her official capacity as may be expected and elect to have the commission pay for the cost of attendance consistent with state law and BOCC policy. There are similar modifications used in the other contract employees of the county. I'd like to thank Ivy Martin with County Human Resources and Rudy Hermoda with the County Attorney's Office for their help with our contract amendments. The estimated financial impact will be absorbed within our current existing budget, and at this time I turn it back to the Commission for a discussion.
Thank you. And I too would like to thank Ivy Martin and Rudy as well for working to across the BOCC and the EPC to help bring these contracts into consistency and equity across these 4 important leadership roles. So that's what the recommendation is before us this morning, is to do those things outlined by Ms. DeLue
Move approval.
and bring them into.
Second is going to be retroactive back on the allowance.
Yes. Yes.
So we're
Second.
moving approval to and retroactive to October 1. Motion by Commissioner Cohen, second by Commissioner Myers. And seeing no further comment, we'll take a roll call vote.
Smith?
Yes.
Cohen?
Yes.
Hagan?
Yes.
Kemp?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Overman?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that takes us to air quality concerns, item 9C, the I-275 expansion update. Ms. Lornton.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I'd just like to have a little attitude just to say thank you very much for your support. It means a lot. And I want to thank your staff as well. I mean, again, it's a team, and it's the policymakers, it's EPC staff, and it's county admin. And that's what helps me be successful. And I just want to say, when Commissioner Miller was here, I gave a book out to all the commissioners I had read on emotional intelligence. Really, it just comes from the heart. I love the environment, and I love this planet, and I want it to be better for our children and our children's children. but I genuinely love people too, and I'm a huge animal lover. My fantasy football league is called Must Love Dogs, is my name. So thank you for that. I love each and every one of you, including staff and admin, and thank you very much for your support. I am humbled and honored. Thank you. And so with that, Commissioner, we'll move to 9C. Again, we've had a lot of big issues this year. This is just one of them that we're dealing with. This is the FDOT presentation. It's about the air quality concerns. It's a follow-up regarding the I-275 expansion update. And Jason Waters will be giving this from the air monitoring section of EPC.
Yes. Good morning, Commissioners. Jason Waters. I'm the manager of the air monitoring
I'm sorry, we're not
section.
hearing you.
Can you speak up, Jason?
Let me adjust the volume.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Much better.
Okay. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Jason Waters. I'm with the air monitoring section, the manager here at EPC. Are you running the slides or am I running them?
We can run the slides, sir, unless you'd like to.
No, that's fine. You can run them. Sorry about that. Again, go ahead and go to the next slide, please. Last month, if you remember, Mr. Sanford was here and he talked to you about the I-275 monitoring project. And I think it's been discussed at the last two EPC board meetings, a BOCC meeting, a couple of TPO meetings. So obviously it's been an item of concern. One of the concerns we had, a citizen had taken a lead sample of some dust that was on a medium or barricade, and that sample was analyzed, but it wasn't really an air quality sample. It was more of a soil sample. And we talked about that in the previous presentations. And what we did was place this temporary lead monitor here at the Seminole Heights Branch Library to collect that representative air sample where it draws air in over time, so we could compare it to a lead standard. Demolition was scheduled to occur in late September. It did occur. Next slide, please. And it occurred on, it was a Sunday evening, 9/25. I believe that was a Sunday. From 6 p.m. to midnight, the sampler was running. There was wind from the direction of that to the sampler during that time. We believe we collected a representative air quality sample for the demolition project. We had that sample analyzed. The results were well below the national ambient air quality standard of 0.15, and that's in micrograms per cubic meter. Next slide, please. We collected 5 samples also, some background samples. All of them were well below the standard of 0.15. Go ahead to the next slide. There were 2 things that Mr. Sanford asked the board to vote on last month, and I believe you did so, and that's what was agreed to. One was to perform that sampling and come back to you and report the results, which we're doing right now. And the other one was that if the results were below the standard, and since they're very well below the standard, was that we would continue to coordinate with FDOT to ensure that FDOT themselves and their contractors use the best management practices on roadway and demolition projects. So that's kind of our conclusion today, that since the monitoring was very well below the standard, that's what we'll continue to do. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Seeing no board discussion or questions, Commissioner Kemp, are you there? Do you have anything to ask?
I am here, and I did hear it, and I know we had information about it prior to this. I just am very pleased that the EPC has pursued this, because I think it's very important that we had a independent report and assessment on this. You know, I'm just glad to have the information from our trusted EPC.
Thank you. I agree. It provides a second opinion and a second level of assurance to our citizens when we're able to provide this additional monitoring, and I very much appreciate it. So thank you very much. Commissioner White?
Do you need a motion to receive the report? Have we done that at
think so.
EPC meetings? Okay.
It's not necessary, but appreciated. So.
Okay.
Could I make that motion then?
Okay.
I'll make a motion to receive that.
Got a motion to receive the report from Commissioner Kemp, second by Commissioner Overman. We'll take a roll call vote.
Smith,
Yes.
Cohen,
Yes.
Hagan, Kemp,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Overman,
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carried 6-0.
Thank you. And we have one more presentation. Ms. Lorton.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yes, we'll be doing 9D now, which is the Small Quantity Generator Hazardous Waste, or the SQG program presentation. And Shannon Camp from the EPC Waste Division will be delivering that presentation.
Good morning, Commissioners. Shannon Camp, EPC staff. Today I'm presenting an overview of our Small Quantity Generator program, which is one of our Waste Division programs. So EPC's SQG program was established in response to a statutory requirement back in 1991. A couple of the requirements will be noted below for this statute. First of all, it requires an assessment role from each county to identify potential generators of hazardous waste. And currently, Hillsborough County has over 16,000 businesses that are potential generators of hazardous waste. Each county is required to notify facilities of their potential, that they are a potential generator of hazardous waste, and there are legal responsibilities regarding proper management of that waste. And each county is required to reach out to at least 20% of facilities identified in that role as potential generators of hazardous waste. And currently, Hillsborough EPC staff reaches out to over 3,000 businesses annually. So when we reach out and do inspections, some of the information that we're required to get from these businesses is the types, amounts, and how they're managing their potential or actual hazardous waste. We also identify and discuss waste reduction opportunities, pollution prevention, to each of those facilities if there is an opportunity for that. And then the information that we gather is reported in our database and provided to the state on an annual basis. So just to recap for our program, it's mainly an educational a program to educate facilities on how to be in compliance with the state and federal hazardous waste rules. These federal rules come from the Resource Conservation Recovery Act, which some people are familiar with, the cradle to grave logo or slogan, which just means that every business is required to manage appropriately their hazardous waste from the moment they generate it all the way to the proper disposal. And that includes the transportation between their facility and the final destination. And this program regulates businesses that generate, transport, or treat hazardous waste regardless of the quantities. So there's a couple interlocal agreements in place. First, between Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners and EPC, there's an interlocal agreement for the SQG program to be implemented by EPC on behalf of the BOCC. And that has been in existence since 1993. And there's also an interlocal agreement between the EPC and the Hillsborough County Tax Collector's Office to collect a hazardous waste fee to fund this program, and that's been in existence since 1990. So we're going to talk a little bit about what hazardous waste is. So one category of hazardous wastes they're called characteristic hazardous waste. So these wastes exhibit a characteristic that makes them hazardous. So the first is ignitables. So these are items that have a flash point of under 140. So paint thinners or non-empty aerosol cans, alcohols, very common. Oxidizers. So these are items such as nitric acid, ammonium nitrate, which is used in fertilizer production, potassium nitrate, which is used in firework production and gunpowder. Also, some pool chemicals can be considered oxidizers. Corrosives, again, some pool chemicals, muriatic acid, drain cleaners. Reactives, so flares are TNT, trinitrotoluene dynamite. And the last group are toxics. The majority are going to be heavy metals. We have things like methyl ethyl ketone, 2,4-D, which is a pesticide, and then perchloroethylene, which is a chlorinated solvent used in brake cleaners and dry cleaning. Another group of hazardous wastes are the listed wastes. So there are non-specific sources. So these are typically, not exclusively, but typically solvents that are used for solvent properties that contaminate other items such as rags or wipes that would also be considered hazardous waste. And then there are specific sources. So these are defined specifically in the regulations. So certain plating baths, wastewater treatment sludges, and then several unused commercial chemical products. So if somebody was disposing of some off-spec or expired materials, they potentially could be a specific hazardous waste. We do have other regulated wastes. These are mainly wastes that would be considered a hazardous waste if improperly managed, but these wastes are typically recycled, so there are exemptions with proper recycling. And these items include electronic or e-waste, circuit boards, certain scrap metals, used oil, oil filters, spent lead acid batteries, and then there's another category called universal wastes. And these are mercury-containing devices and lamps, certain batteries, certain pesticides, and then non-empty aerosols. So next we're going to discuss some of the businesses that we inspect, and most people are aware or are familiar with the SQG program for the automotive inspections that we do. So general repair, paint and body shops, they typically generate used oil and oil filters. They may have a solvent parts washer, brake cleaners, lead acid batteries, waste paints and thinners, and then scrap metal, of course, as well. We also inspect a lot of retail facilities, grocery, home and garden, pharmacies. They typically will generate off-spec, damaged, returned items, and they also generate hazardous waste from their routine facility maintenance. We inspect medical facilities, hospitals, clinics, veterinary, dental, laboratories. The waste varies, but typically some waste pharmaceuticals may potentially be hazardous waste, traditional chemical waste from X-ray, waste solvents and stains from a laboratory, and amalgams from a dental office. We do inspect academic facilities as well, both public and private. We do have a relationship with the Hillsborough County School Board to inspect their middle schools and high schools on a rotation basis. So we go through the middle schools, then we go through the high schools, and then we start back over the middle schools. And the waste that they generate really depend on the programs that they offer, but mainly it's going to be the sciences and the art programs, and then facility maintenance. We also inspect various manufacturing and construction businesses, dry cleaners, boat manufacturing or other fiberglass, tank manufacturing, machine shops, various construction contractors. We also inspect government facilities, so fleet management, public works, you may have laboratories. We also have some other duties. We do support the interlocal agreements with Hillsborough County and the City of Tampa for their stormwater permits. So we look for potential impacts to the municipal separate stormwater sewer systems. including responding to complaints. We do inspect high-risk facilities, which are identified either in the permit specifically or mainly are businesses that have federal MPDS permits. And then we report information to those entities for their annual audits with the state DEP. So the SQG inspections, again, were mainly an educational program providing compliance assistance to businesses. The program focuses on businesses that generate less than 2,200 pounds of hazardous waste per month, which would be the very small and the small quantity generators. Businesses that generate over 2,200 pounds are considered large quantity generators. And the inspectors, assist businesses to identify their actual and potential hazardous waste based on their specific processes. So the inspectors go through and help each individual business identify what they may generate, what they actually generate, and how to properly manage those wastes. And that concludes my presentation. Do we have any questions?
Thank you. That was a great presentation, very substantial yet succinct, just the way I like it. You did have a slide up there that was showing some people dumping into the storm drains. There was 2 pictures. It was, let's see.
Yes.
That one, yeah. And just
Yes,
to be,
that's actually, I believe, dye.
and so just to be clear, these are violations.
Well, the dye would not be. It's just a good visual, but that's typically done to track if there were a discharge, where that discharge is actually the outfall for that is. So that's actually a dye. So there probably was a violation and that somebody was investigating it. Typically that's going to be in the industrial wastewater section. They do the dye testing too. And other groups would do that too, but they'll check where an outfall from a storm sewer system goes to. So the dye is used in that manner.
Oh, that's interesting. Yes, thank you. That's interesting, part of the process. I have had a couple of constituent requests lately wondering how to dispose of certain household items, light bulbs to batteries. I know this isn't the EPC job, but can I put you on the spot and ask?
The county offers household hazardous waste disposal at their sites. So you can go to the Hillsborough County website and find out which days they're open and what items they take.
And so we ask our citizens to take those kinds of hazardous waste materials to the county disposal sites. I remember the city of Tampa had a program that allowed citizens once in a while to put a little bag of batteries or something in on top of their recycling, and they would actually pick it up from the home. Commissioner Cohen, do you know?
They do. They did have a program like that. There was also, the city of Tampa had a few designated dump sites for hazardous waste, but I remember they did close one. Mm-hmm. And there were only, in the city, there was maybe only one centralized location to go to, mm-hmm. if I remember correctly.
So, Commissioner, if I may add, I actually happen to have this information from a gentleman that works for George Cassidy, Travis Barnes. And basically, any individual who would like to take their chemicals, it happens on the 3rd Saturday of each month. And those are chemical solvents, flammables, those type of things. They can be taken to the Hillsborough Heights HHW collection location and between 8 and 2 p.m. And I think they also collect electronics there. But at that location, Hillsborough County will receive these items that we're talking about from the public. So,
good to know.
Yeah. And obviously, you can reach out to our solid waste. I believe this information is on the website for the county as well in the waste area. So there are methods where they can dispose of this material in a safe manner.
Thank you. Thank you. I just thought it would be helpful to put that all out while we're talking about hazardous waste.
Correct. And Commissioner, I'll give you the address for the public. It's basically by Lazy Days. If everybody knows where Lazy Days RV is, it's kind of just across the street, not far down. But it's 6209 County Road 579, Seffner, Florida. So it's just off of I-4 for anyone who'd like to dispose of that waste.
The other thing I'd love to see is, I've seen it some places in the county, but I would love more of it, is where those storm drains have some indication that this drains directly to the bay, and there's usually a picture of a fish or something, and it says, and that helps homeowners to make the connection, oh wait, if I dump my paint here, that's going into the bay, or my fertilizer or whatever. So the more of that we could do, I think would be helpful to inform citizens.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much for that report, and seeing no other comment on that, I will move to the Executive Director's report.
Thank you, Commissioner. I only have a few quick slides here, and then we'll wrap up. If my report gets pulled up, we'll be on our way. Thank you, James. If you could go to the next slide. Last week, we met with Commissioner-elect Owen and his aide, Sherry Almond. Our divisional directors conducted an agency overview discussing EPC's Enabling Act, the role each division plays in local environmental regulation, and how our agency can assist with environmental issues or concerns posed by constituents. The briefing was followed by a tour of EPC's chemistry and benthic laboratories and our boat fleet. And we did give him the challenge, Commissioner White, to go out for a full day of water sampling, because it is very rigorous, and hopefully he'll get it on a beautiful day. But he seems very, very interested and spent several hours at our agency. So we're very happy about that. Next slide, please. EPC waste staff had the opportunity to meet EPA Brownfields Cleanup Grant Manager Nicole Rogers when she recently visited the city of Tampa this September to tour several of their Brownfield program sites. Next slide, please. EPC attorneys Andy Zadro and Beth Lee spoke to students at the Stetson University College of Law earlier this month to share their insights about environmental law career paths and opportunities, and to explain EPC's role in protecting the environment. Next slide, please. We held our first face-to-face agency-wide in-service meeting in September, following several years of virtual-only meetings, and it was wonderful to see everybody all together. One staff member from each of our 5 divisions received EPC's Tier 1 award, which is the highest annual employee recognition awarded to individuals for outstanding performance demonstrated throughout the year. We additionally gave 11 longevity awards that were presented to staff with years of service that range between 5 and 30 years. I wish to thank all the EPC staff for their work they perform daily to ensure the protection of our local natural resources, and for their dedication to the agency's mission, and for their exemplary service they provide to the citizens of Hillsborough County. Next slide. After a slight delay due to Hurricane Ian, we were happy to hold our farewell celebration for Reggie Sanford last Thursday. He was joined by his wife Evelyn, his mother Millie, and his 2 brothers Albert and Jonathan. To let you know, our theme was keep on trucking, because we tease him because he has a truck that probably has 500,000 miles on it, and it has no air conditioning, and he will not replace it. It's a badge of honor for him. So we had a lot of fun. Reggie is highly esteemed by all who know and work with him, not only for his outstanding work ethic, but his high moral and personal character. His presence at the agency will be greatly missed. I wish to extend a special thank you to Commissioner Smith and Commissioner Myers for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us virtually and take part in this celebration. And I know that Reggie truly appreciated your participation and kind words and well wishes. And he knew I had other commissioners talk to me. I talked to him that because it got rescheduled, there were conflict with other commissioners who would have also attended. But thank you to all the commissioners. Next slide. Last weekend, EPC staff got together at Lettuce Lake Park for the first family picnic in years. And I'd like to give a shout out to all the staff that helped organize that picnic. In-person events such as picnics, holiday celebrations, and as I mentioned earlier, our in-service and retirement celebrations help to foster a family culture at EPC. This is something we're not able to fully accomplish over the last several years. It's wonderful to see our new and our seasoned staff once again interfacing face-to-face, forging relationships that transcend work and include family members and loved ones as well. And I'd like to say at the in-service, I had everybody who'd been hired since I was hired stand up. And then I said, now everybody in drop, stand up. The whole room was standing. So the newer individuals have lots of opportunities coming up in the years to come. And so our next slide, please. And so with that, speaking of holiday celebrations, it's hard to believe Thanksgiving's around the corner. We have a great Thanksgiving luncheon, and commissioners, it's our pleasure to personally invite you and your staff to our EPC Thanksgiving luncheon following the EPC meeting on November 17th. We probably will be canceling that meeting. We don't have any action items, so that's why we were honoring Commissioner White today. But it will start at 11:30. Complimentary, senior management, and we take care of all of that, so as well as staff. So please join us, and if you have, unless you have any questions, that concludes my report.
Thank you. And I would not miss that Thanksgiving luncheon. So I'll be there. And I see no questions. I'll ask for if anybody has any future items they'd like to see brought to future EPC meetings. And seeing none and hearing none, the meeting's adjourned.
Thank you, commissioners.